Hello and welcome to another episode of So Fly. It's the end of September. Fall is here. It's chilly. We got our fall clothes on. I got my jacket on. I'm feeling good. My name is Mitch. We've got, of course, Gab here again.
Hey, right on.
We've got Aldo.
Hey guys, how's it going?
We've got a very special guest here as well. We're very excited to have him in. We've got Mr. Ian Troup. How's it going, Ian?
It's going great. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
Competitive fly angler,
Competitive fly angler.
all-star banker.
Banker by day.
Yes, excellent. It's so good. No, thanks so much for coming on the show. We want to talk all about your fly fishing experiences, how you got into it, and also I know you're a casting instructor.
I am.
So we definitely want to talk a little bit about that.
Original, I think FFF, they've changed the name, certified instructor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's a long way back.
So, why don't we just start with a little bit about your background in fly fishing? How'd you get into the sport and where are you from? How'd all that stuff roll out?
Okay. Yeah, so I'm originally from Toronto, but I think my formative years would be in the Niagara region. So my dad likes to think he was the first commuter. So he moved from downtown Toronto to the Grimsby area. What's interesting in that area is a lot of farms. So we grew up on a fruit farm and a lot of irrigation ponds. So picture just ponds upon ponds filled with bass. So I grew up, I think I could fish before I could walk kind of deal. Found an old fly rod in our basement. My dad used to fish for little sunfish and stuff like that. Started just fishing for bass, and it went from there. So first it was, using all kinds of fishing, and then it was I want to catch only on a fly rod. And then, we all have the progression. I bought one of those starter kits, like really cheesy, one of those spongy handle deals all in one with a sink line.
Yes, yeah.
I still think I fished the Grand River with that for about a year, like fiberglass, full sink line, everything you need to fish the Grand.
Yeah.
And never caught a fish,
Yeah.
but that got me hooked, like, quote unquote hooked on it. It was nonstop from there.
Yeah. So you started with panfish? That was like the first sort of...
Panfish and bass. It was all about the bass, little poppers in the corner of a pond.
So that's like, I think everybody in this room, except for Gab, everybody's first fish on a fly rod was a non-trout,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Walleye.
Pike,
Brook trout.
bass, right, Ilma?
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So you're originally from
Toronto.
Toronto, and then you went to Southwestern Ontario is where you're located now.
That's right. And then in between there, I moved to BC and back. So spent some time on Vancouver Island. So
You were guiding out there, right?
I was, more instructing in that, guiding on the side, but they have a real, like, you have to be a certified guide out there. So more off on the side, but doing a lot of fishing and exploring out there more than anything.
Oh, that's wicked. Yeah, Jesus, I bet the fishing out there, like, oh my
It's
God.
not bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually,
not
like,
bad.
I think Vancouver Island's a little underrated. Like, everybody hears about, the mainland rivers for steelhead, and then, can fish steelhead year round on Vancouver Island. I think the Cowichan River's probably one of the best rivers I've ever fished. And what's interesting about that river, it has brown trout. And
that's cool.
Like, not rare for us here on the east side, but out west. And I mean mutant-sized brown trout. So you can fish rainbows and browns. And it is not uncommon to pick 50 to 100 fish up over 18 inches in a day.
What?
Yeah.
50 to 100.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Are we
my
going to
God.
Go and you can fish
Might
in
have to go to the
February.
couch.
Like hatches in February. It's just really weird.
Whoa,
when you're
hatches in
from here.
February. That is so weird.
So mayfly hatches coming off and
What?
everybody's in her. Yeah.
Well, I guess the weather there is pretty temperate.
It's temperate, right?
Yeah.
So it's different, right? So
I guess that's true. Like, I mean, every time you hear about BC, you hear about these amazing rivers, the Skeena, the Kispiox. Nobody ever really, I mean, aside from the inshore fishing, I don't think I've ever seen anything about Vancouver.
no,
Island.
they actually say it's not that good comparatively. So it's just depends what you're looking for.
Right.
It doesn't compare to those famous steelhead rivers for that, but I mean, there's Campbell River and that are pretty famous too. So
Yeah.
it's a little underrepresented. So if you're ever out there, it's worth it.
Sweet. How many years were you out there?
I was out there for about 3 years. So, and I'll be going out there again sometime.
Yeah.
As soon as the snow
Yeah.
hits too, I usually want to head back, especially because you fish in February. I think it's a nice little fishing trip people forget.
Oh,
Yeah, like I would never
That's-
think. I
that's
would
a
never.
great
February,
Think.
idea.
March, there
you know?
it's fishing pretty good if you can fish high water, which we do.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not bad.
I would never think to go February.
Yeah. And the summer's the worst there, right? So it's
Yeah.
opposite of what we think.
Yeah, it's so dry, I guess. Eh?
That's right.
It
You
gets
and then it really gets
dry
low, and you got to leave it alone. So.
It's crazy.
Yeah, wild fish. It's good.
Yeah.
So you're an instructor,
Yep.
you guide,
Yep.
but you're also a competitive angler.
I am a competitive angler for quite a long time.
Yeah, I
So-
saw some gold titles.
How long have you been doing competition for?
I've been doing like a long time now, over 10 years at least. So it's interesting, I guess. So, I mean, how we got into guiding, you didn't ask me a question, but I'll tell you.
How'd you get into guiding?
Yeah, great. It's a fantastic question. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, of course.
So,
man, of course. That's what we're all about.
So how I got into guiding, which was a fellow by the name of Ian Colin James.
Oh, yeah, Ian Colin James.
He was a pretty famous guide out here as, world-class fly tyer. When I actually moved to London, Ontario by fluke. He lived there and, kind of found his website and things along those lines, and was lucky enough to move from instruction to really guiding mentorship. So it's taking someone who I think he was the first guide in Southwestern Ontario. He had about 30 years experience to really kind of step you through the do's and don'ts. And I think he really gave me the right foundation of, there's a lot of wannabe guides, what I would say, and I think we all see them, which would be, be an expert first and, with your clients do that and move in that direction. And that's actually how we got into competition fishing. So it was a bit of a leading question. So he had been hired, they had the Nationals, it must have been a long time ago, on the first time they had it on the Grand River. Of course, guides a lot of times get booked for supporting some of the teams. I had been peripheral view of competition fly fishing. He had been hired to for one of the top teams, and he had this dream of putting together an all-women's team to compete in it. So he's like, can you manage it? Can you run it? Can you guide them? So I actually became the coach of the first and only all-women's team to ever fish in a Canadian National Fly Fishing Championship.
That's awesome.
And it's kind of interesting because they were a lot of newbies. It worked out well because one of the competitors became my wife. So.
Oh, wow. No way.
It's kind of cool. Actually, it's funny. The Toronto Star picked up a big article on it back in the day. It was very interesting. But running a team, managing a team, and not knowing anything allowed me just to run around, watch a lot of the competition, watch the anglers, and it looked pretty fun. So then I ended up going to the next competition, and I think the rest would be history. So I fished, 10 plus nationals and a bunch of international competitions.
Wow.
I've been on Team Canada for quite a while.
Sick.
Oh, that's crazy. So you've gotten to travel then a lot too, and doing
all
those
over.
championships.
Yeah, we had a south of England, Devon, who has just got back from Northern Ireland, so fishing the Commonwealths and hoping to hit the Worlds next year in Tasmania.
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 What?
Yeah.
That'd be
That'd be all right.
Yeah.
There's things that want to kill. You're on the menu there too, so it's a little ironic.
I know it's extreme. It's awesome. What's your favorite? Where's the best? What's your best memory of one of your championships? Where's the best place?
I think the best memory is probably from Mont Tremblant, just because we won the gold medal in the Commonwealth Championships. It was the first ever international medal by any team, Team Canada, and we won by the largest margin in the history of the Commonwealth Championship. So just the camaraderie of a team and achieving that was really
home water.
Home water, defending Canada was really, really good. And then my second might be, it sounds like we're really competitive, but we were lucky enough to win the silver medal just recently in Ireland. And that's a little bit of link to the first one. You're not on your home water. You doesn't get as viewed as a fluke. So again, same team, same camaraderie, and the fact that we were able to, essentially back up our performance was fantastic. So, and it actually isn't the individual result. It's, working together as a team and kind of figuring it out. It's a different aspect than some people think.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that recent silver. That's amazing.
Silver, that's awesome. It's
really good.
How many people is there in the team?
So you have 5 competitors, usually one alternate that you can rotate in and out, and we're lucky enough to have a manager and a coach, and both are phenomenal.
Very cool.
So, and this year we're very lucky. A fellow by the name of David Arquet, because of the Commonwealths, I think he's at least 2-time world champion individually. He's from Spain. Spain just won the world championships 2 days ago. So he's like a 3 or 4-time world champion. He was there coaching us on the rivers and some of the bank sessions. So just to see somebody of that caliber and having, we're still, I think, downloading some of the information we picked up from him. So that was a really a treat, we would say, on that.
Yeah, seriously. How do you guys go about, I don't know anything about competitive angling, really. The only experience I have of it is years ago, I knew someone that was on the team. I think when the team when the nationals or the championships were in Czech Republic or something like that. This is a while ago. But how do you go, how does Team Canada go about picking the people that are on the team? How is that process?
Seen the lottery with those balls that just come out? So write your name on a ping pong ball, throw it in there.
Yeah.
We're trying to
him.
Yeah. So
I don't know that guy.
I think they're trying to evolve it, right, to be honest. So they've done a very good job of building a national points ranking system. So if you're a member of Fly Fishing Canada, I think it's $30-40 you end up, I think it's called the NPR, National Points Ranking System. So it's made up of, there's local competitions and you have more nationals that are weighted different. I won't go through the whole point system, but there's a national ranking system.
Right.
And then a little bit becomes of your fishing resume. So they can get a sense of who's active in competitions, who's fishing, and then who's got international experience and who wants to, like, if some people, and also sometimes it's timing and location, to be very honest. Sometimes it's in locations that aren't as attractive to some others, so it depends on who applies. But at the end of the day, they go for some pretty deep experience, because there's like there's ones, Oceanic would be if New Zealand, Australia, some people want to go to that. There's Worlds, there's all kinds of it. But that's essentially what it is.
Man, I like, honestly, like, I love the world of fly fishing for this reason too. It's like, I'll explain, like, people, like friends, coworkers and stuff like that, about fly fishing once in a while here. They'll see something and I talk to them about it, and they're always like, there's a that in fly fishing, there's a that. And it's like, there's always like there's this championship where there's like national ranks of people and fly fishing resumes and things. Like, it's such a deep sport.
Yeah. and it's interesting because it's like, so it's not for everybody. And I get it. Like, some people, fly fishing is, they just want the solitude. They want to do something right. But I think what some people are negative on competition fishing, I think what they miss is it's the same thing. It's the camaraderie.
Sure, yeah.
You meet great people. If I said the best thing of any international is just the network you get and what you learn that makes your pleasure fishing. It makes me a better fishing guide, first of all.
Right.
But you just have more fun and you learn, people figure out, it's like the tinkering sport of all time. The thinking person's game, and amazing what some people evolve. It's the evolution, which is always interesting to me.
Absolutely, man.
Well, that's the thing. It's like kind of like also in food, like, fine dining might not be for everybody, but there's some techniques that get developed in fine dining that kind of come down into, I would say middle to lowbrow food. Not that food isn't quality, but it's just like some techniques that are learned there get to make really good food. And it's like, Gab and I were fishing this morning on the credit, and we're using, Euro nymphing techniques that had we never met Chris at Drift Outfitters or you, or these are techniques that were developed over people competing with each other, because you meet people from other countries, you see how they're fishing, and it's a larger, extrapolation of what we all do all the time. Like, Mitch fishes different than I fish. Gab fishes different. We've all had different fishing histories, right? And it's like all those histories come together and they share ideas, and it's cool.
And you get to choose your own adventure, right?
Yeah.
So how do you want, what do you want? Some people just want to fish a certain way because it's fun for them, and some people want to rack up numbers. Other people want to hunt unicorns, right? So whatever.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess that's
today was hunting unicorns on the Credit River.
Right.
We're
and then
throwing chickens at them and stuff like that.
and then just like real unicorns, they were not seen.
They are magical.
They are magical.
Yeah.
I mean, what is in terms of I know we're digging along on this championship stuff. I'm just so curious about what would you say makes a good team? Because you were just saying all the different ways people fish.
Yeah, so it's like any other. So team camaraderie, a group of individuals, even if they're better individually, won't be as good as a team that actually gets along. It's a couple. You got to remember, you're spending 2-3 weeks in a room like the size of this, tying flies and really working together. So again, it's a lot of data, right? So it's how can you gather data on the pre-fishing, and are you going to share? Do people contribute? And then the second piece would be the mental aspect. I think everybody's going to get to a level where your techniques and capabilities are pretty good, or level. Can you just stay calm and relaxed and fish for the team, not yourself? Because you're going to run into situations where individually your score might stink, or your individual result might be down the tubes, but you're fishing now for the betterment of the team. So the team dynamic, we would all say why our team's done well, the last couple is we just get along, we have fun, and there's no egos. Right?
Yeah. I mean, we know Colin, who's your teammate.
Huff,
Colin Huff, yeah. I mean,
he's a phenomenal angler.
He's a phenomenal angler, and he's just a pretty down-to-earth, rad dude. We did our little fly tying night at the Left Field Brewery the other week, and he was there just hanging out.
Yeah, just came on.
Yeah, he's just a really chill dude.
Oh, super nice guy.
Yeah.
And we know with the calibers, he's going to figure something out. He's going to let you know. In Ireland, he had a session on a lake that was fishing really, really tough. He figured something out that the session before, I got the memo, do this. So there's that trust factor. So my game plan out the window. Do what Colin said to do, and ended up second in the session, right?
Sweet.
So cool.
And I beat the Northern Ireland guy in the boat, which was fun just in its own.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Beat the locals. Always
Yeah, he was squirming a little bit, but he was a good angler. He did very well, but that one was a little frustrating, and that was all Colin. But it was, again, the trust factor and the fact that I think that would be the
How are they scored? Like, how do you? Is it?
So it's there's international, like it's called Fips Mouche, which in French means something, but international. There's Poisson Sportif probably in there somewhere, and Federation, International probably. There you go. But it's been around. There's Fish International Sportif Federation or something like that.
That sounds right. That sounds right.
Something like that. It's been around since the 80s, but they're very much like the Olympics, international rules. The rules would really be team of 5. We would be separated into groups A through E. You would be representing, say, Canada in Group A, and I'd be B, C, and all the teams would have an individual representation. You're really trying to win your group. And the reason we all know as anglers, it's a 3-day competition. Conditions will change, but everybody in your group's fishing the same conditions.
Yeah.
2 sessions per day, 3 hours each, 5 in total.
Wow.
So it could be river, lake, bank, something like that. And it's cumulative length. So essentially, if I catch 3 small fish and they measure more than your big fish, I win. And then the real big one is blanking, it's like catching none, which becomes quite frequent at the end. And if there's 20 people in your group, you catch 1 fish, everybody else gets 0. You get a first, they get a 20th. Right? And then it's the least amount of placing points. So if
kind of like golf?
Like golf. So the best you could possibly do is get first in each session, get a 5. Like 5 would be the best possible score, which means you won every session. And then do the same thing for the cumulative team results. And then there's things called fish points for tiebreakers, and it's a rabbit hole. But that's essentially it. Catch more fish than everybody else, and you probably do all right. But we tend to target smaller fish, not big fish, which I think is...
For numbers?
For numbers.
Right.
Oh, because they're easier to land?
Yeah, like if you went to the credit and I said, let's have a competition like that, you're probably going to find some riffles with a lot of small fish. You can just rack up numbers versus hunting around for some big fish.
Like today.
Today
we would have done very well.
Yeah. Or not. You know?
I think
We might have won.
I think we banked 10 1-inch fish.
Yeah. There you go.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Who got the rainbow?
I got a few rainbows. Chris got...
a nice rainbow?
We ran into Chris from Drift Outfitters.
Yeah.
And he got a nice little rainbow today,
I
actually.
got a little salmon and then a couple of browns.
Those colors on that rainbow, I saw the picture of you guys flip through. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good seeing, it's funny, like beginning of the season, sorry and I digress, but beginning of the season, there was a lot of big fish, which of course was awesome, but it was kind of weird not seeing any small fish. We're like, but it's encouraging seeing those little 1-inchers.
Yeah.
Because
They move around with the water temp too.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So, Ian, that's cool. You just got back from Northern Ireland.
I did.
The boys placed second.
Yep.
That's great. Where do you... About your fishing life, where do you like fishing the most right now?
Just like, what do you mean right now? How
it's September. The leaves are changing. Your mind's on steelhead.
It's steelhead for sure.
When I met you, it was last spring for the first time on your drift boat, which was awesome. We had an awesome day.
Oh, you got a drift boat.
Yeah.
Oh, mama.
Yeah, we were on the Maitland. That was my first time fishing the Maitland. And we had a rad day. Like Rob boated this awesome fish. Chris boated a fish. I hooked one and lost. And it was like
almost boated it.
It was a great day. We all hooked.
And it was tough
fish.
Conditions, like low clear water.
Low clear water, brilliant sunshine.
Yeah.
Was awesome. You made chili. It was just like an awesome day.
You made chili?
I made
Yeah.
chili.
Nice. How'd you make the chili? Like on a fire?
Yeah, a little portable stove. My
baby.
wife makes it from scratch. Pretty good.
Get out of town.
It was
And I
so
think
good.
Rob from Drift had one of the coolest takes I've ever seen on a steelhead.
Yeah, it actually was. Amazing.
What happened?
So on the I would actually like the Maitland and the Saugeen are kind of my 2 favorite rivers to fish. Nothing against the lower middle Grand. I just like the Maitland's got a really interesting just character to it. It's really can be really tough. It's really clear, and it's got a real interesting geology. So if you haven't fished it, it's got just it's hard to describe, but these little grooves and really pitted kind of look where it's got little shadow and little.
We were on the Remember, we were on the Maitland with Jeff Parks fishing bass, and it was super low water. Remember when all those shelves and grooves or whatever?
Yeah, we
Shells
just walked pool to other pools. Like riffles were way too low, and
Yeah, it's cool.
middle of the summer it was.
But like
July,
remember
right?
you remember all like the river bottom they were seeing? It was pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It was we're drifting just actually between areas where more anchor the boat and probably swing some flies and nymph, but we're going through some of those shelved areas, and we're actually talking to Rob going, you can cast and strip across those because the steelhead they'll sit right in the shadows, and you won't see them. And sure enough, he cast his streamer across, but he stripped it like he's in Montana. You see the steelhead materialize, and we saw it drift back in the current, then accelerate and just like slam the
dude,
fly.
it was crazy.
What? You guys saw the thing?
We saw it like drift out into the shadow and then accelerate and smoke it.
Yeah, it was
That's sick.
it was like it was a total resident trout
Oh, that's
streamer smash.
Oh yeah, it was cool. And it was big fish, right? So it was fun.
Yeah,
right? It was cool. I've never seen a steelhead do that before.
That's
so
really
strip
awesome.
Like you don't usually see it, right? It was close enough that we could actually see.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
And so you're basically like, you're drifting these rivers, you're making chili, you're catching amazing steelhead. That sounds friggin' awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fantastic, right? So, and again, it's what people want. So I'm big on the education. What are you hoping to get out of it? Hopefully you learn something along the way and tailor it to what people want to do, right? I think it's not everybody cares that much about catching every fish in the river. They want to enjoy the scenery and stuff like that, so you pace it the way they want. Some people are hardcore and they just want to slam fish all day. Right?
Yeah.
But you never know. Steelhead, just flip a coin, right?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very much driven by the conditions.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little tougher for sure.
I haven't seen one for a long time. I'm kind of dying to
Maybe this year, man.
to hold this
They're coming.
steelhead.
They're coming.
Hop in the drift boat. We'll go down. We'll find a couple.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'll hold you on
that's right.
on that.
So that's where you do all your guiding then?
Mainly, yeah, and I do a lot of walking ways on the Grand, Upper Grand, when during the season. So I mean, that's where I learned to guide and I cut my teeth there for sure. But I enjoy teaching, and I'm pro staff up at that place called the Franklin Club, so I do a lot of stillwater instruction up there.
Is that how you met Ian Colin James?
At the Franklin Club?
Yeah.
No, that was at London just by fluke. He happened to be there, and then he was and then got me into the Franklin Club. To be honest, he was pro staff up there, and then brought me up there, and off we went. So, and then that's really where you can teach lake techniques and stuff like that, like something called lock style, like drifting from fishing from a drifting boat, which is a really old way of fishing, but it's good
With a drogue.
with a drogue if you need it. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
It's a drogue.
A drogue is like a parachute that goes behind the boat and slows it down. So think of it, you fish in front of it. So as it drifts, you're casting in front of the boat.
Right.
Which is actually really fish face into the wind, right? So if you're, it's like a moving dock. It's the Scottish figured that out like 200 years ago. They used to put a chain underneath the boat, but you just move slowly, stay seated. The fish don't see you. They see your flies first. It's by far the most productive way to fish a lake. Like these guys anchoring in BC with their slip bobbers is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
You hear that, BC?
Yeah, BC.
Sorry, Brian. My apologies. Shout out to Brian Chan.
Take notes,
With
Brian.
a chronomid underneath slip bobber. It still works. There's just different ways to do it. Like, you think about it, if you cover water, like it's like standing in the same spot in a river for the whole day, or do you cover the
It makes sense for sure, yeah. Like I've seen those like those windsock things before. I guess that's
same idea.
Same idea, right?
And then you can adjust the size of them because it'll slow the boat more. And then a lot of in England and that where they have these deep hulled boats that sit nice and low, so you can be on a pretty big wave and fishing relatively comfortably.
Oh, that's cool, man.
I wish I knew that. Mitch and I used to fish this place called the Bing Retreat. Have you heard of the Bing?
No.
It's just pretty like awesome stock, like near Westport.
Yeah.
Stocked with a lot of rainbows and stuff, and we always boated like one or two fish, and they were always awesome. They were always like 20-inch type fish. But man,
it would have been nice to have.
It would have been nice to have.
It's like a horseshoe, and you kind of just go with the wind. And, but man, those rainbows, I know. Yeah.
You'd kill.
So, what was it like then? Because you learned from Ian Colin James too, and all that stuff. What was it like? What was he like as an angler? What was it like learning from him?
So he kind of looked like Shrek, like big Scottish guy. So picture just talking to Shrek, like learning from Shrek would be. Like,
that sounds amazing.
Totally, exactly, right? Yeah. So, very much Scottish, right?
Yeah.
So he was to the point. This is the way you do it, and do it. And he was like, I would say. Quite ahead of his time in the fact that everything I learned fundamentally just applied to even the most modern techniques I do today. So I reflect back, that's essentially what he was doing. He was really probably one of the best casters I've ever seen. So really, and by far the best casting instructor I've ever seen. So I learned simply, taking the most complex things and simplifying them. That was his genius of instruction, right?
Yeah.
So he could go as detailed as you want, but he would just say, he'd things like stop it high and watch it fly, and people would just that would resonate with them.
Yeah,
right?
that does. Yeah, like even just little thing like that's just like signs of a great teacher, right?
Yeah, and and we would do education week for kids and go around. So it's pretty fun going around and teaching 100 little kids how to. And then he would teach the fly tying. I do the fly casting. Again, if you can teach a grade 3 kid how to cast, it applies across the board. But my favorite story on that one, and he had a great sense of humor, like a really, really good sense of humor. So we're trying to find this school, and it's rural, like it's out in the middle of nowhere. So he like any fishing guide, a Troup, he had this beat up like serial killer-esque van, right? Like all rusted out.
Yeah.
And he's a 300-pound,
he's a big
6'3" Scottish guy, and he goes in there and buys a handful of candy, no gas, because we were actually using it to say fish have taste buds on their head and stuff like that. They don't just taste with their mouth, but and so he grabs a handful and he's like, "Can you tell me which way to the elementary school?" And he hops in the van, and I'm like, "Did you pay for any gas?" "No." "What did you do?" "I just bought candy."
Yeah.
And I asked which way to the elementary school. I'm like, "What do you think? Like 20 minutes till we're both arrested?"
Yeah.
And just the whole way, just tears running down his face.
Yeah.
And then he wanted to circle back when we didn't get arrested.
Yeah.
What was wrong with that gas station attendant? You should have, I'm a high risk. You should have called. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He didn't
That's
take it to
hilarious.
he really made it fun.
Yeah.
And I would say he simplified it for sure. He showed you learned a lot.
Yeah, it's cool. You make the distinction between like a good fly caster and a good fly casting teacher.
Yeah.
Actually, speaking of John Gierak, we were talking about him earlier, but I'm reading a Flighter of Your Own right now, and then he talks about like you can be an amazing caster, but like not know shit about teaching it because a lot of it's just like ingrained in you. Like we're slowly making these changes and getting better as we go.
Yeah.
And by the time someone asks us how they do it, you're just like, I don't even know. It's just a part of.
Yeah.
So you speak of Ian as being a great teacher. I think that's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
I remember seeing him on Rick Mercer.
Yeah, up at the Franklin Club.
Yeah.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And then he also taught me like how small of a fly you could use. Like I think he just had that buzzer. We call them buzzers in the UK, but like midges, chronomids. He had nothing to throw on a size 20, 22 on for me that seemed crazy.
Yeah.
And the confidence. I mean, he would go for steelhead and just thump them at the mouth of the Lake Ontario with a size 14 or a size 18 little chronomid on there on a 20-foot, 2-pound leader. And you're like, what are you doing? And he would land them. It would work. And then I get, okay, so, it's clear water, it would sink better with that. And he knew that when the conditions got tough, he really, his background in lake fishing from Scotland was, would come through. But
Which is
far.
It's such an interesting thing, lake fishing, because it's not a really big thing like Southern Ontario people do, No,
we're not good at it compared to in the UK. And I think it's easier to go from lake fishing to river fishing. It's a lot harder to go from a river angler to a lake angler.
Yeah.
Why would you say so?
I think so. I'm really understanding how much depth pays attention, and I think at first it's easy to read a river from a water perspective.
For sure.
I think lake, you get there, it's hard to visualize there's structure underneath the water. Yeah. And I think once you get over that, breaking it down into bite-sized chunks and then getting rid of that river hook set is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Right? Like we all like that Bass Pro kind of hook set, which you don't want to move that at all. And I think that was the hardest one for me to stop.
So on a
stop
lake,
lifting the rod.
On a lake, you don't lift the rod.
Don't lift the rod. You just pull, because if you think about it, if you pull the rod, you pull the fly away. A fish might just be nipping behind. If you pull it, just try to tighten the line and just keep going until it locks up. Is the hardest thing to do. You literally can just keep going until the fish starts jumping around, then set the hook.
Yeah.
Because I guess some of that is about the fish losing its opportunity, right? Like you say, they're nipping at it. So if you're taking the fly away, eventually they're gonna
just cream it, right? So, but if you do one of those big throw the rod, it's gone.
It's gone. They're gone.
That's right. Yeah, long gone.
That's cool. Yeah.
So don't trout set on lake.
No, just keep the rod low, keep going.
Big river set.
No river set.
I guess it's true because you show up to a lake and you're like, it's one thing to, try and read a new bass lake. You're like, okay, let's find the lily pads or whatever,
But a trout lake.
But a trout lake, you're like,
Yeah.
like a big retreat. You're just like,
yeah, you don't really know what to do.
In Temagami 2 weeks ago, we were on the lake, and I was like, I I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
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 Whereas a river, you could go, there'll probably fish over there. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened.
it's
We were
a good, like-
on the river the next day. We're like, they're probably there, and they were there.
River.
But
It's cool to think about, like, what, like, if you come to a lake, let's say a new lake, like, how do you assess what you're going to do? Because I think we all have an idea of what we would do at a river, but it's like,
Do I get a topographical map or not?
no,
Oh,
no topo map.
Topographical map would help for sure. So I look at the banks. So a lot of people don't pay attention to the structure on the bank. It carries into the water. So if it's a steep bank, it's going to be deeper. If it's shallow, it's shallow. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what you inferred. Like we were at Elk Lake earlier this year. We fished a little river for splake, and that's kind of what Mitch inferred.
Yeah.
He was like, he just followed he's like, we were starting to hit fish off of any rock
Yeah,
face.
the rock wall.
Yeah.
Well, the reason you asked topo map is because you can look for those drop-offs, right?
Yeah. Well, and also so what time of year is it? So water temperature will dictate where the fish are the most. So where are they in the water column? I'd be interested in. So if it's, if the water temperature is in like 55 degrees kind of throughout the lake, they could be any depth. But if it's the middle of summer, they're probably at some thermocline 30 feet down or something like that. So I'm going to try to find the deepest spot. If it was spring, probably right up in the bays where the water's going to warm up more. So stuff like that would factor in. And then which way's the wind been blowing? If it was there, because it's going to blow bait, it's going to blow food, and they're going to be, depending if it's cold and they'll be top of the wind to stay out of the cold water. If it's summer, they'll probably be downwind waiting for all that food to be washed and all that oxygen. So that's a couple things out.
Right. And I guess it depends on the fish species as well, obviously, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, assume a trout, but if it's a warm water, I'm going to go to structure.
Yeah.
All
Weed
day,
beds,
all day,
rocks, things like that.
kind of stuff. If it's a brook trout, probably look for structure too, if it's the water temperatures, right?
No, it's cool. Lake fishing is just like such an interesting thing.
Super technical.
So,
It is.
3 questions. Where are the fish?
Yeah.
That's where you're deciding what depth are they at, and then what are they eating? Usually people do it the reverse order.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. They go to what are they eating first?
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah.
They'll eat any fly, like if you get the right depth.
So if you can't figure out what they're eating necessarily, let's say it's thermocline, like it's summer, you're fishing deep. What's a pattern you go to?
Confidence patterns, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like it depends. It sound like it depends on everything, but so there's minnows in the water, like any type of zonk or minnow pattern, anything like that's probably going to work. If there's a lake that has midges or chronomids, they see those all year, every day. A lot of confidence, and that's where I learned that for me and James. Those kind of buzzer chronomid patterns for rainbows and stuff work really, really well.
Right.
But we'll use a lot of silly things like from competition fishing, like flies called blobs and boobies,
blobs.
right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that, it would just be, I would probably different colors and different sizes. But if it's a dark day, probably black and chartreuse. If it's bright day, probably going to use more of my whites and stuff like that and oranges.
I always see boobies and blobs like really colorful. Do you use like a darker one as well?
Yeah. So the originals of those are like from something called stocky bashing. Comes like the darker side of competitions, right? So
Stocky bashing. What's stocky bashing?
bashing some stockies. So
of course,
the best.
Pretty
Yeah.
literal.
So when so in some, especially in competitions, or some ponds or trout areas, they'll stock fresh fish. A lot of competitions they'll do that because one lake they want to fish well, and the first 1 or 2 days is just like fish mania. And that comes out of the UK where they have a lot of you pay to fish, and they have fisheries where they put and take fisheries.
Right.
And so like bright colors work really, really well, and like ridiculously bright, like electric orange kind of colors and stuff like that. They work really, really well for recently stocked fish. But I think what people forget, a lot of those bright flies, you got to look at how light diffuses in water, right? So wavelength red goes way first, and then you get your yellows, and then your greens and your blues go all the way down. So something that's like bright isn't bright like 5 feet down.
Oh yeah.
At all. Like everything turns gray. So some of those bright colors, if you're fishing the top layers, stay with your oranges, you get deep black, and then truly like chartreuse painted beads and stuff like that.
Okay.
To get something to stand out. So I see a lot of people messing with like this shade of all of them. Like like in 4 feet, that just looks like every other fly there is. So a lot of, just don't judge it by what it looks like.
Okay.
The light conditions make a big difference.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Is it news time, Gab?
No.
It's not?
I need to get ready for
Open it up, baby. So we do this segment called Fly Fishing News with Gab. He talks about a couple articles, and then we sort of just spitball around.
I'm just gonna have to unlock it. Here, just give it to me. Just my thumb. You can use my
you know what? I have it on my phone.
Oh, okay.
So
Do you?
okay. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Sweet.
I've never done like competitive angling, and like I said, I'm like so new to the idea of it.
Right.
It sounds really cool though, especially in the UK.
Yeah. It's also like you feel like just going back to the Stillwater thing really quickly. Like we have so many Stillwater trout opportunities. Like you like think about Halliburton, think about like where we grew up, Mitch. You know, Gatineau Park.
Yeah, totally.
You know, we didn't have trout streams really in Ottawa. You know, but you know,
Well, that sucks to be you.
It's true.
yeah.
And then we got here and we're like, oh, sick. Trout, steelhead. We're like, what?
Yeah. But there are a lot of trout lakes.
There's also
like-
Lake Ontario.
Yeah, there's that huge lake right
That's
here.
true.
That has
That huge body of water.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like for me, I grew up like on a brook trout stream, and then used to slay on a regular basis.
But it would be
and then I come to
it's a good skill. Yeah.
yeah,
you know,
but I come to
Stillwater
Southern
fishing.
Ontario, and then I don't catch any big browns because like I just
You gotta learn
don't
how
do
to,
it right.
you gotta learn how to do it
Yeah,
properly.
yeah,
I know.
It took me a while
There's a
like,
learning
to figure
curve.
it out. So there's a really like I'm like, oh, I fish for trout all the time. I'll be fine.
There's a total learning curve.
Then you go to the upper credit and you're like, no, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Stillwater fishing should be like. I mean, it's something I don't work on. Obviously, you need a boat and all this other stuff. But like, it's definitely something a skill that you know I definitely need to work on a little bit more. But like,
Yeah.
But because we have a lot of opportunity, and now I have a Watermaster.
There you go.
Don't you love those things?
Oh,
you
I love
those things.
Oh, I love those things.
Yeah?
No, they're like bumper boats coming down. Back in the day, I'm gonna sound like an old man. There was only a few drift boats going down the river. Now you got all these.
Oh my God.
They're everywhere, and
Tell
all
me
the
about
spots that you could. They're very accessible. I mean, I get them. They're
Yeah.
fantastic watercraft. It's just I'm being very selfish.
all
You
good.
heard me griping on the Watermaster.
Hey, you gotta gripe about something, right? Let me just see if this works here. Oh yeah, totally works.
We can actually hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shitty
we can
news sound
hear it.
effect.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So I'm just gonna. All right, Gab, it's time for news.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's all about the Commonwealth.
Oh,
this
no
time.
way.
Okay. Yeah.
Commonwealth news. Okay, I'm gonna cue you in. Ready?
Not the Commonwealth here.
Here we go.
Commonwealth. Okay. Hey, hello. This.
It's always such a disaster.
No, just go.
Just keep going.
This is fly fishing news with Gab.
Oh,
Sports, the sports edition.
It's sports edition. We have Ian Troup. He's a competitor. Let's do sports.
Yeah, heck yeah. Okay,
and
cool.
talk sports. Let's talk about the last competition, the Commonwealth Fly Fishing Championship.
Where the Canadians won
Second place.
silver. Congrats.
Yeah, so good. Here, the. So Ian, you finished.
Fifth.
It's loading.
Eighth.
It's loading.
Gab's
It
out.
helps you.
Colin finished fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You finished eighth.
Yeah.
Was that a personal best, Ian?
In international competition, it was. Yeah.
Eighth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever fished Scotland in any of these things?
No, but I hear it's coming up.
Okay, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
Because Mitch is going to Scotland.
Go to Scotland? Okay.
Yeah, I want to know about
I know a lot of Scottish guys that are really good anglers, so I can give you some
Oh
tips.
my god, totally. Some names.
I can't read. Look,
What the heck?
it wasn't like that before.
Why is it all blurry?
Yeah, it's all blurry.
I might hijack sports with Gab right now.
Sure.
Sports fishing news with
Sports
Gab
fishing news
featuring
with-
Aldo.
Aldo with the sports section. Ian, who'd you say the MVP was for your team?
Actually, probably the coaches, right? So I'd say a guy named John Bevan and Donald Tom. So John Bevan, who was managing, like he was booking all the travel, everything like that. And then Donald Tom kept us where we needed to be. So I don't think any of us would say anything different, that it was really those two that made it happen.
Yeah.
Dueling MVPs.
Dueling MVPs were the
Yeah.
coaches. Awesome. And who ended up winning the home team one, right?
The home team
The
won.
home team
Northern
won.
Ireland was tough to beat.
Northern Ireland won.
They won.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of practice. We weren't allowed on a lot of the practice water. They live there. They had a little bit of information, but they fish really well. So they did a great job. We beat Scotland, which was good.
Right on.
And they got the bronze. So that's a good team.
What's
they got
next for
third,
team?
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Scotland came third.
Yeah.
They came third.
What's
South
next for
Africa
Team
first.
Canada?
So we have the World Championships coming up in Tasmania. That's
that's so
year
cool.
from December, and then the Commonwealth right after that in New Zealand. So
This December?
next December.
next
So
December,
the
okay.
World we didn't send. There was a different team went to the World Championships that just wrapped up in Italy.
Yeah.
Where Spain won in.
That was in Trentino, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's tough. It's tough fishing in there.
Commonwealth
Yeah.
of New Zealand.
Yeah, so that'd be all right as well.
Have you fished New Zealand before?
I have not.
It's gonna be
I
sick.
hear it's all right.
Yeah, same. Yeah, no.
I hear it's catching on.
Never heard about fly fishing.
Apparently, it's a thing. I don't
It's
know.
a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
a lot
don't
of
know.
walking, casting for one fish. But I hear where they're putting it's amazing too. Like we're talking to some
And
of the
is it
Kiwis.
gonna be like the New Zealand fishing? Like you guys gonna target like that one fish that you can see?
Hopefully not.
Yeah,
but yeah, it depends.
Because
Where
you're
they put
saying
it.
like it's a game of number, not
depends.
necessarily size.
You get what you
They're-
get, right?
Yeah.
Like I think the best story I've heard is again from David Arquet, who fished on the Spanish team when they won the World Championships in Colorado, and he had a stretch of river that was like sometimes it's called a beat. You get a draw, so you think about it. You can get a really nice beat where you know all the fish are, and then sometimes not so nice. Thus, you do the best back to I said fishing for the team. He got a stretch where everybody didn't catch a fish, right? So and he said it was no flow. So picture that part of that frog water, what we call it.
Yeah. Like on
so-
the Grand. Or,
Yeah, something like that. So he knew that the fish have to show themselves. I got to just stand still. They rise to dry flies, so I'll just stand here and wait. He told me he stood and waited. So picture it's a 3-hour competition. They shoot the gun off, whatever you want to call it, blow the whistle. He stood there for 20 minutes, didn't move, just standing there holding a dry fly in his hand. Right.
That's what makes
skills.
a champion.
Yeah, that's patience
So
and skills.
fish rises, one cast lands it,
Yeah.
and stands there and waits for another 15 minutes. He said he made 11 casts, 9 fish.
Jesus.
Jesus.
And 11 casts in 3 hours. Like, so that is some serious.
That's like
Yeah.
That's hunting.
That's
really.
serious.
It's
Yeah,
like literally
because then
hunting.
everybody, your urge would be, I would have done it. Just you got to run around, and do something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
It's a cool like lesson to take away.
Oh, for sure.
You know, patience. I mean, we sometimes
And
forget.
Confidence in your ability,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
ability to execute.
Yeah.
would be the other one, right? So,
Totally. Yeah.
like,
9.
I think we could all stand there and hold a dry fly, whether or not we would have caught.
Oh yeah.
It's probably not.
That's
No.
Using dry fly for fly fishing competition is probably not very common, right? Like,
Oh no, really common.
is it? Is
Oh,
it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I thought like you guys are all
And
like,
on lakes, too.
nymphing and stuff.
No, on like in
Okay.
the last session in Ireland, it was all about dry flies.
Oh, yeah?
Off the boat. Yeah.
Oh really?
Very cool.
That's pretty cool.
So here's the ranking
All right.
for the Commonwealth competition.
Mm-hmm.
First place, Northern Ireland.
Mhm.
Kind of makes sense.
Mhm.
Homeboy.
And we just talked
Second,
about that. So.
Canada White. I'm saying all
This is the official.
Oh, the official.
This is
the official one.
Official fly fishing news again.
Not
Yeah,
what
I
I
got-
told you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you might be
It's fly fishing news again.
What?
It's got the
3
stats.
Scotland. In fourth place, South Africa.
So, 7.
Fifth, Canada Red.
Mhm.
England for 6th place. 7th place, Australia. 8, Isle of Man. 9, Wales. 10, Australia.
Yeah, I sent two
The
teams.
green one, yeah. 11th place, South Africa, ladies.
Ooh,
That's awesome.
nice.
12, New Zealand men. 13, England ladies. 14, Scotland ladies.
How many places are there?
15,
16
16,
teams.
Oh.
16.
16 teams, about 80 people.
Oh wow.
Channel Island. Never heard of that one.
Yeah.
Is that another island in the
The place is
in
called
the
like
British
Jersey,
Isles?
like they're right off the south of France.
Okay.
There. Yeah.
Okay.
Looks
And
like a nice
then,
place to live.
Northern Ireland ladies,
Yeah.
dead last.
Yeah.
16th place.
There you go.
There you go.
16 teams. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
80 people.
Is it always 16 teams?
Pretty much.
For the
they're,
Commonwealth, yeah,
So
or-
I think where, like you see Australia, Canada, where you have opportunities like to move to having a women's team.
Yeah.
And they're going to move to a co-ed, at least one co-ed team, because it is a bit of an advantage, I would say, that we get to say send 2 teams if you want to.
Yeah.
Every country has
Oh.
the opportunity to do it if they
Right.
want. But
Yeah.
I think it's better to have a.
So the 2 teams, how it works, is it like it's not like Eastern Canada, Western Canada. It's like you guys are all together
Or
and
Canada.
then you guys separate into like there? Or?
No, like you mean how we do the red and the white?
Yeah.
So when we won the gold medal in Mont Tremblant, we decided to let that team defend the medal. So
Okay.
then they did a selection process for the second team, which I thought was a great way to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
And those guys did fantastic. Really, they fished really, really well. A lot of them was their first international competition.
Oh,
and
yeah?
they did really, really well. And I think what worked really well, again, back to no egos, we shared information between our 2 teams where there's been other teams where they compete against each other and you kind of both lose when you do that.
Yeah.
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 So we had fun. They did really well. That's
numbers
a really good result.
Collaboration works better.
Yeah, for sure.
Teamwork, baby.
Yeah.
Gab, that was probably your most successful fly fishing news with Gab ever.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
That was good. It was the one. Yeah.
Thanks to Aldo for picking up for me.
Hold on,
Because I had technical issues.
I'll sign you out.
Blurry.
Your stats
blurry
guy.
phone.
Your stats guy was dropping the ball.
Signing you
Yeah,
out.
yeah. All right, this was fly fishing news with Gab. Thanks to Aldo for filling up for my mistakes.
The sports edition.
The sports edition.
Nice. That was good.
By the way, always goes like that.
Actually, it goes way worse usually.
Yeah,
But
because usually I'm doing it, not Aldo.
That's right. Yeah.
that's cool.
But we got one really good point out of this, and it's been a recurring theme in this is Scotland. Mitch, you
Yeah, I'm gonna go Scotland.
are going to Scotland this
It's like
year.
you have a kilt made into a jacket on right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting ready, baby. I need to get a pair of pants like this, and then I'm ready to
you're
go.
ready to rock.
You know?
Oh my
yeah.
God, the same pattern.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe like a
Yeah.
little chapeau as well.
Just do a onesie.
That's hat, by the way.
Just
Yeah,
do a
yeah.
onesie, a full onesie.
And a fanny pack that screams tourist right
Oh,
there. Like
exactly.
Scottish tourist. for
Exactly.
Cool.
What like so? What? Yeah, Scotland. Like you said you've had some experience. You haven't fished there yet,
sure.
right?
No, just fish with a lot of
Yeah, you know some people there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, what's the deal in Scotland? I know you have to it's private water, right? So you need to
Yeah.
pay to fish.
Yeah, as far as most of Europe would be like that. So rivers
Yeah.
or lakes, what are you thinking?
River, I think. I mean, I would just love to go and get an Atlantic salmon.
Oh, okay.
That would be cool.
Like catch one? Or
Yeah.
buy one in the store?
Whatever. Maybe we'll see what happens first. But yeah,
All right. Yeah. So
yeah. I don't know. I need to meet. Do you meet someone there and then you go? Like, how does it work?
Yeah, like I mean, a guy I'd connect with, Dave Downey. Have you ever heard? So Dave Downey runs if you do fly tying, his materials are phenomenal. But he's out of Glasgow, so he would be more of your lake and river guy. But I'm sure he could connect you with who you need to over there. I would recommend if you get a lake, go in the Lake of Menteith with one of those guys.
Does Dave Downey have a shop or something in Glasgow? Like, does he?
He sells materials just online.
Yeah.
But he's a world level competitive angler. But his materials are quite famous through not Scotland, but the rest of the world as well. You can get them here as well.
I'll check him out.
But I think it's he does a lot of guiding, a lot of trips with a lot of.
It'd probably be sweet to go with a guide. I mean,
yeah, I think
or
so.
at least connect with him.
Yeah.
Well, what the hell would I do? I'd show up to the room and be like, I guess I don't know what to do. Probably spend a bunch of money to get to the river.
Especially if you're going for Atlantic salmon, right?
Especially
Yeah.
for Atlantic
Yeah.
salmon.
Like their famous lake over there is called Lake of Menteith.
Okay.
That's the deal.
And what's the deal with that lake?
It's like I think that's where brown trout come from. I believe, honestly,
That's awesome.
There's German brown trout and Scottish brown trout.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you just go and you just lake fish brown trout.
The
original.
and rainbows. Yeah, but
And
those guys,
rainbows.
then mutant size, right? But it's a huge.
Mitch loves
Over-
rainbows. This is his favorite fish.
They call them locks over there, but that's their.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, maybe I'll just do that.
Yeah, that sounds pretty
I
good.
believe if you call Dave, I believe it's like a half an hour from the airport in Glasgow, something crazy like that. I'm getting it, but
That's perfect because that's where I'm going.
perfect.
Yeah.
And that guy, he's won something called the Brown Bowl, which is like the lock style championship over in Europe. That guy just sit with him and you'll probably be addicted to lock style fishing.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
See, I have it in my head. I go to Scotland and fish rivers for Atlantics or do some classic
But he could hook you up with rivers too. But I would just go for wild browns too.
I know that sounds amazing. I didn't even think of that.
The original wild brown. That sounds so cool.
You can go northern,
boats.
for the smaller lakes with all the wild browns up there. There's all kinds of
That
crazy.
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Just for
Jesus.
some background, Mitch's girlfriend Steph is over in Scotland for a year studying.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'll come visit.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
I'm gonna go visit. I'm gonna go fish browns now.
That's right. Yeah,
That sounds kick ass.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of that.
There's another guy named Michael Lowe of Ferio Fly. I don't know if you've heard of that. That's a pretty popular.
Oh yeah, that sounds kind of familiar.
Yeah,
Actually.
so I don't know if he guides, but he was in the call. He's
Fario is it's like how the French called brown trout, right?
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
now the
Like in
name makes
France,
sense.
they
Okay.
I heard that a lot from.
There you go.
That's cool.
But Dave Downey, I would definitely hook up with him.
Even just for some of his materials,
For any fly, like his marabou,
it's amazing.
Sweet.
Cool.
Well, we're getting it to be tying season.
Yeah.
So.
Get his white. It's called Stillwater Blue. It's white, but it turns UV in the water, and everybody's trying to
What?
replicate it. It's
What?
Yeah,
Wow.
What?
That's
Yeah.
insane.
I wouldn't use any other marabou. For my white marabou, it makes a difference. For sure.
You can get all the stuff online.
Yeah, I
still
think even
have-
Flymart
Carry some.
in Canada has it, but you can I just order it from him.
That's cool.
I still have the fly you tied on.
Oh yeah.
What is it? What fly?
It's just like I don't. Am I allowed to say what it is?
Sure. I don't. Even
Oh,
know
is it
what
like a secret fly?
I don't know.
No, I mean,
Depends
let's
which
just
one
say
you
there
use.
was. Let's just say there was that white marabou on it, and
Yeah.
I have like done my hardest not to lose that fly.
Awesome.
And it's awesome. It's
That's
an awesome
pretty good.
fly.
It's a good fly.
That's
I
cool.
have another questions about competition again.
All
Sorry
right.
to break back, but
Oh, it's okay. This is our
this
first
is about
competitive
competition, right?
angler
Competitive,
guest
yeah.
ever.
so because I work
Yeah.
a lot with Rob and Chris these days, and
Yeah.
obviously that's all they talk about,
Okay.
and or a lot they talk
Yeah,
about a lot, and then they say the Spanish and the French.
Yep.
They're the best.
Yeah, for
Like-
sure. And then throw the checks in there too.
Yeah, okay. But
it's
how
been-
come? What do they do so right?
It's a good question. So I think it's where the type of water they have to fish. So really thin water, really clear, really spooky fish. So they've really adapted to fishing far away from a river's perspective. Fine and far off would be another way to think about it. And you think of a lot of competitions, the harder they get, think of fishing pressure, really good anglers fishing it over. I think they've really, continued to evolve, really hone abilities to put very, very small flies, because in a competition you can't use split shot or anything like that.
Okay.
How do you get small flies, to a fish from a very long distance? And I mean, they changed the rules because they were using like 40, 50-foot leaders. If you think of that, right?
Holy shit.
On a river, right? So they
Casting that?
They made it. They have to be twice the rod length, and they've changed it. It has to be a fly line, but so it's 0.25. It has to be, so it's really thin, like a 000. I think is what it is. But then they use thinner and thinner tippet. Like they'll use nothing. They think nothing of fishing 9x for most of the equivalent.
Wow.
So again, it's thin, it's far away, and their dry fly fishing is light years above anybody else.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, when I was looking at the, David Arquet came here last year, and his dry fly technique with his leaders is
ridiculous.
Just ridiculous. Yeah.
The Spanish are the best in the world, So
Yeah.
they'll skate a caddis upstream beside themselves. Like they have techniques that they can do that,
Jeez.
but they're good.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it's distance and ability to.
I guess that makes sense because mainland Europe is pretty busy, so those rivers must see a lot of pressure. So you got to become really smart, real fast.
And then their country's competition fly fishing is really popular. So in Spain, it just drives innovation, right? So if you're fishing 50 competitions a year and it's that hard to make your team, they just get better and better and better, and then things just kind of come out of your style of fishing. I think what's interesting they do is they fish like golf clubs. So they have a dry fly rod and a nymphing rod, and they'll have that one stuffed in the front of their waders, and then they'll switch. They don't really do as much of what people like dry dropper. Like their theory is more you'll do it, but more fish a dry fly properly, fish a nymph properly.
Right.
They go through first with a dry fly, and then fish it right after with a nymph. So but they can do that just like seamlessly up a river. So if you start doing that really, really well, your catch rate goes up.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
crazy.
Where do you think like you were saying competitive angling is very popular in Spain, very popular in France. Where do you think Canada sits? Like
Pretty low.
Pretty low?
It's getting really popular in the U.S.
Okay,
Like they're really coming up. Very popular in the U.K. But I would say it's growing. For sure. In pockets, very popular in BC.
Right.
I think Todd Oshie out there, who's really done a lot. And then I would say actually in the Ottawa area and here.
I was gonna say I remember
Ottawa.
the
A little
first.
bit in Alberta.
Yeah, I would say my first I never competed, but my first I was working Green Drake during high school, and Green Drake sponsored the youth team one year, and that was like my first.
Same. That's how I heard
That was
about
my
it too.
first introduction into. I was like, I didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah, me neither.
And that's when I met Colin. I don't know if he remembers, but he was quite young,
like
and
13-year-old Colin.
Yeah, exactly, and some other guys, and
It's pretty popular out in Ottawa would be one of the founding areas for sure.
Oh,
all the
crazy.
guys out there, yeah.
It's so weird, like
fly angling,
how does that happen? It's so random.
Yeah.
Seemingly.
Yeah.
It's like you don't think necessarily about Ottawa.
I think it's more the individuals that kind of got together and got in.
Yeah, because it's got
and
like
made an impact.
Evo's out there and Colin, right?
Colin's
Evo's
out
still in
there.
Ottawa,
Yeah,
right?
That's right. And
Yeah.
Donald Tom, who's one of our coaches
Yes, of
out
course,
there, and he was
yeah,
a silver
yeah.
medalist at the Worlds way back in the day.
Oh,
And
crazy.
And John Bevan, who's now out west, but he was in the Ottawa area. And
Yeah.
a guy
Those
named
guys
Randy
were all
Taylor. They
Ottawa
were all,
guys.
and they'd all fish Canucks.
Just like me and you,
know,
Mitch.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And Quebec has really good lake fishing. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of
Quebec's great.
Oh my God, the Canuck is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the lake championships coming up.
Right,
in
you've got
Quebec.
the.
Yep.
How many championships currently are you involved in? Let's say per year.
Not like, so I do a nationals, maybe 1 or 2 rivers, and maybe 1 or 2 lakes. So
Okay.
and then international. So not too many.
Yeah.
It's trying to stay married.
Yeah.
Yes, my wife is really good for supporting it, but making sure I keep it within reason. But
Yeah. So you're doing a tournament in Canuck?
Yeah. So
that's-
they have a tournament called the Mark Anderson, as a fellow who passed away, who was actually a writer for Ontario Outdoors.
Yeah.
And they've had that going on for about, I want to say 5 years. I might be getting it wrong. And it's actually become one of the premier lake competitions in Canada for sure. And then the other one would be the North American Lock Style out in BC. But this,
Cool.
we'll go back to the points. This ranks as our top lake competition. So it's 2-3 days, and it's teams this year. There's teams of 2. Colin and I fished it together last year,
Nice.
and now it's teams of 4. So it
There's
looks
some nice lakes in there.
it's nice. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And Montebello, too, and Tremblant as well. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you're in Ottawa, you can just, like, there's a lot of places you could go. It's a bit of a drive.
Just
but
not in Ottawa. You
Just
gotta-
not in
you gotta
Ottawa.
drive, but
It's
Yeah.
funny.
much.
It's funny
Unless
that
you want
like,
bass and muskie.
competitive
Yeah.
angling kind of came in Ottawa, but it's really not like a trout
That's right.
destination or
And then-
region
yeah.
known for that.
And then BC is really popular. Like I would say the most popular. They do. Out BC, you could do 10, 15, 20 competitions a year.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh, wow.
They just have more opportunity. A lot of guys go and fish the States too, but I do a lot of practicing.
And just like we said earlier too, in BC, you can do it basically year long.
Yep.
Like here we have a season. Like
Yeah.
in Quebec, by September 15, you can't fish for trout anymore.
Right.
For us, it's ending next weekend. So like in BC, you can
Yeah.
just like keep
Mhm.
going.
Yeah.
That's right.
You said you had to be gone by 7:30.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got 15 minutes left.
Mitchie's Fishy?
I think it's Mitchie's Fishy. So Mitch does a 5-question
Hard-hitting 5 questions.
buzzer
All right.
beater.
Oh, buzzer
kind of
beater?
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, buzzer beater.
Yeah.
Based. Okay.
I think I'm off
No. Actually,
off. No, you can take as long as you want.
Okay.
I
But
just
you only have
they're
15
just basically the segment. They're just questions, so it's not really different from the show.
Yeah. Okay.
But we gave it a name, Mitchie's
Okay.
Fishy. It kind of
Okay.
rhymes. It's
All
pretty
right.
stupid,
Okay.
and I kind of just think of them off the top of my head.
Oh, okay.
We have
So there's
Great
no preparation
Chronicles.
involved.
it just wraps up the
Hit
show
me.
really nice.
Yeah.
Okay, hit me.
These segments, they're
All right.
like we really
Hard hitting questions.
hard hitting questions. Okay, I got one for you right off the top. Here we go.
Mitchie's Fishy 1.
What is your favorite fish? And we've asked that question a bunch of times to various people. And we all answer at one point. Interpret it how you like. To
Probably
catch, to look at, whatever.
Brown trout.
Yeah. Why?
Oh, is it why to this question?
I gotta have a why.
I find them a little more technical to catch. I mean, I thought like they're overly. I mean, I think they have an IQ of 3 or something like that, and a budgie's got an IQ of 5. So I'm not. Gonna
Oh
say
no
it's
way,
smart.
budgie.
Just so you know,
Budgies are smarter than browns.
everything.
My whole world's
fish. Right?
Shattering.
Like that microphone might be given it a go.
Yeah.
But I think they're a little bit more challenging to catch and so. But I actually I find them kind of fun to fish for, just by their feeding styles and stuff like that. But I'm pretty open opportunist for trout. But trout fishing, if I just said, would be my favorite.
Yeah. So you like the technical stuff of a brown.
Yeah, the more technical, the better.
Yeah.
Tougher, the better.
So you kind of answered this before, but I dig a little deeper on this one.
All right.
Why is it that you competitive fly fish?
Yeah, I said that, like the camaraderie for sure. I'm like competitive by nature, like grew up playing hockey and stuff like that. And I actually, I think it just takes you to great places. It's fun being on a team. And I actually like, to me, it's not for everybody, but I like kind of the pressure of the situation to be put in a situation where you're not fishing at the optimal time, usually like the worst time. It's not the best place to be fishing, and can you actually figure out a way to catch a fish here? So I like that kind of challenge.
And you're fishing behind like really, oh my God, really good anglers,
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah.
That it adds to fly fishing, like giving it sort of a different purpose, like totally makes sense in relation to other sports. It's like, of course, camaraderie, give it a little bit of pressure. It's kind of fun. And the fact that you get to travel over the world, like free.
Yeah, that's
fun.
That's super
Yeah.
cool.
New Zealand, Tasmania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is interesting to go and fish at some of the worst times, right? In the worst
Yeah.
spots,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just a whole different mindset. You'd never do that, right? So
Yeah.
And you start to learn, like you just get, it makes you, and then your fishing becomes more, your recreational fishing becomes more fun.
Yeah.
And I like just kind of, I'm a continuous learning kind of guy. So always trying to get better. And that's a good way to challenge myself to get better. Versus
Absolutely.
getting complacent doing this, like, figuring out a way to catch a fish and doing that every season all the time, right? So,
Mhm. And I bet it leads to some pretty cool stories and memories too.
oh, for sure.
What's
and
your
you meet people all over the world, right? So
you meet people too, which is super cool.
yeah.
So Mitchie's Fishies 3 then for you. What's your favorite memory / story, competitive angling wise?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I told you like the favorite one would be for sure winning the gold medal. That was fun. I think that if I think of, it's a good question. I like the we got to fish in the south of England, Devon, and it was for wild brown trout on a stretch of river that was Prince Charles's private water, which wasn't really, it sounds really hoity-toity, but it wasn't big to me.
Yeah.
But I think it was really neat that I still remember you couldn't get off your hands and knees. If you stood up, even on your knees, the brown trout just going to gone, right?
Oh, wow.
So he's like, make like a rock. And so I spent 3 hours crawling up a river on my hands and knees, but they had, I can't remember their name of was it Sky TV or something like that?
Yeah.
They had somebody from one of those. So behind me is hovering as a drone. And I just remember looking back going, like, I'm on my hands and knees here, and you got like this giant drone flying behind me. So I got him to move it back, but they sent me some really cool footage. They moved it up. So it was kind of a neat one too. And I ended up, I think, got second in that session with like maybe 11 or something like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Take
But it was
that
kind of
drone.
neat. It was kind of neat to be in that environment. You stopped and think, geez, I'm in a stretch of river that probably nobody gets to fish.
Yeah.
And it was kind of just a unique environment.
That's cool. So that's your favorite memory from
That's what I've got. Quite a few.
Awesome.
well, because
I
you
can tell
mentioned
a lot of it, yeah.
you met your wife through competitive fly fishing.
Well, no, she I knew her before.
Okay.
But she's she never did another competition again. She respects how hard and tiring it is.
Yeah.
But no, she does love fly fishing, and
Yeah.
she's fantastic
That's
with
cool.
it, for sure.
And-
That's probably would have been a
And
better
the
way to
chili
say it.
is awesome.
That's right. Her chili's
Yeah, the
amazing.
chili was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's cool.
Like literally gets mad at me if I don't no, it's homemade chili. Like I was gonna get these guys cans of chili. No,
Yeah.
no,
Not happening.
Oh, so
not
good.
happening.
That's the best. That's
It was
great.
perfect. Even though it was a warm day, it was still like,
Yeah.
it's still spring. So
Chili
it's
is
like,
good
yeah,
fishing
anytime.
It's good anytime.
Yeah.
Especially fishing, it's a
Yeah.
good fishing food.
Fish and chili.
Yeah.
Fish and chili, man. That's happening this fall, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man.
Yeah.
What, okay, Mitch's Fishy 4, here we go. Where in the world, if you could go anywhere, and maybe you've been there already,
Yeah.
where'd you go? What's your favorite place to go?
I haven't been there, but I picked New Zealand.
Yeah,
For
New
sure.
Zealand.
Yeah, for
Nice.
sure. I especially in some of those, walk, try to spot a fish, try to catch it. Just, I think that's why everybody likes New Zealand, and that would be pretty fun. And I've never done that before. I fished Australia, but not New Zealand.
Yeah, it looks insane.
Yeah,
Like
Fish
it looks
Australia?
insane.
yeah.
What's that like?
Fun.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was
Well,
that trout or
That was for trout, just for
Yeah.
my own.
Like where in Australia?
yeah? Because you always think
just outside Melbourne, so nothing
Okay.
like
Oh, okay.
like this crazy, but crazy enough that
Yeah.
things always want to kill me in Australia,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, it's true. I asked a bunch of Aussies at the latest Commonwealth. This is true because the guide's like, don't stand in the river, like move,
Yeah.
because the snakes think you're a tree and they'll swim across and try to climb you. And that just freaked me out the whole time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
like
that would-
fishing, waving my arms and looking behind me, and he's like, "I'll drop you. I feel you'll be fine." I'm like looking around, then when you're by yourself, you're like, "I don't like this at all."
Yeah.
But the fishing was good. Like, it was fun. Yeah.
And was there any
I imagine.
sea crocodile too in around
In
Melbourne?
my mind, there was. But
Yeah.
I hope not. But I had
Ready to attack.
you have that moment. You're like, I am in some river in rural
Yeah.
Australia,
Yeah, this isn't
and
the
I just
Grand
feel like
anymore.
something's gonna kill me. But
Yeah.
it's probably just me being a Canadian. But yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. So
Okay, Mitchie's fifth and final question of Mitchie's Fishies 5. So what is it about guiding that you like best?
oh, for sure, when you see somebody catch a fish, they didn't think they could catch, or just the joy of somebody catching a fish, like whether it be the first one or one they just seeing them like the joy. I would much rather somebody else catch a fish than myself. I have no trouble standing there and watching somebody fish all day. So 100%. The second piece, I would make it a 2-part, would be, you know, teaching somebody something they didn't know and then watching them, you know, have success with it, and you know they're taking that away with them. So I am way more about the education piece and on that. But the joy of somebody, the excitement, it never gets old, right?
Yeah.
Ever, right?
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah. No, Ian, thank you so much for coming on today, man.
Well, I think it was fantastic.
Is there anything you want to leave with anybody? Like, how can people reach out to you if they want to?
Yeah, so the website, oldschoolintothebacking.com. I just discovered Instagram, so
It's a great URL.
yeah.
Intothe.backing.com.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it's been around for a long time. Like I've been told I'm dated because I have a website, but
No. You still need a.
yeah,
just
you
a
can
landing
connect with me
page.
through the website,
Yeah.
and then as I said, I discovered Instagram, so maybe I'll post some things on there.
Oh, heck
So
yeah.
What is your Instagram? I was trying to find it.
Yeah, we were trying to find.
I don't even know.
Ian's-
I think I am Troup because my middle name's Martin. So try I am Troup
I
because
am
that's how
Troup.
you can
Okay,
get
cool.
a hold of me on my email at iamtroup@gmail.com as well. So I might have just been as clever as using that on Instagram.
Okay.
And there's not even a picture yet on Instagram. Like I'm just following people with like a gray ghosted button
perfect.
or something like that.
No,
But
Amazing.
it's coming. It's coming.
Well, we'll find it. We'll put it in the show notes so people can find you too. And
Second part, if people want to get involved or get into competitive fly fishing, can they reach out to you?
For
or-
sure.
Yeah.
I would say like never hesitate to reach out to
Okay,
me as
sweet.
well.
Awesome.
And if you know, and being I'm always willing to meet somebody somewhere, talk about it, and I wouldn't overthink it. Just tell people how to get into it, give it a go, and
Yeah.
meet with some people. There's a fellow who does really, really well now. He booked me for 3 days and just said, teach me to nymph fish. I don't care if we catch fish, teach me everything. Like I'm like, I think I'm downloading a day and we'll be done. And he was like, no, just keep going and going. And then he practiced and did really well. And yeah.
that's awesome.
Actually, a parting pescatory question
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
What do you think?
Good alliteration.
Yeah, thank you. You said the popularity is kind of growing. Where do you think we need to what's a healthy direction for competitive angling in
Youth.
Canada?
Where we're weak is the youth teams,
Okay.
right? So you see a lot of we just got to do a better job of they're engaged, but
Yep.
giving them a better conduit of having youth competitions and
Right.
getting back to the what you guys were talking about. You met Colin and the youth team. I think there's a lot more investment in the youth team there. So
Oh,
I know
okay.
Fly Fishing Canada is all over that, but like anything, I think we looked around and go, okay, it's a bunch of old guys and more women too, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
you see that what you talked about before. You have the Scottish ladies. I mean, it's the equal sport of all time.
Yep.
There's absolutely no difference. Women can easily outfish men all day long. And I think so just giving them more opportunity to if they want to do it, to do it. So I think it's the more we have those local small competitions, the more we do it, I think people just have fun and they realize it's not, sometimes there's a negative aspect to it. I think it's just not knowing what it's all about, right? So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming.
Yeah,
This was
thanks,
great.
Ian. That was awesome.
Hopefully you have me back sometime. This is great.
Oh, hell
It's
yeah.
great. Hell yeah. And
It was great to talk about competitive angling because I didn't know anything
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
I hear it from Chris, but it's cool to hear it from you, Ian, and even I'll go back to last spring. That was an awesome day on the river. It was
We'll have to get a fall trip out.
Yeah,
I call it the
definitely.
drift
Yeah,
with drift.
yeah, we need to
right?
do that.
yeah, for sure. It was a
And
lot.
Mitch. What?
Yeah.
That.
That's right.
I've actually never been on a drift boat, so I'm kind of excited about that.
There you
Wow.
go.
Yeah. Ian's an awesome rower too.
Yeah.
It was
Dope.
just an all around good day.
I only
Wow.
see them, and yeah.
So fly.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, that's it for me, Aldo. As always, you can find us at the SoFly Crew on Instagram. You can find us if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or guest suggestions. We've been actually getting a couple of those, which is awesome. We're the SoFlyCrew@gmail.com. You can find us at SoFly.ca, all our videos and past podcasts. But again, this is Aldo signing off. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and that's it for me, Mitch, Gab.
Hey, thanks everyone.
And again, thanks, Ian.
Thank you. That was
Thanks,
great.
Ian.
Thanks for listening. Peace.